Chad Walquist. I'm an architect at Palantir. Today I've got Zoe, who leads our Palantir for Builders program. Thanks for joining me.
Yes, thank you. Hey.
Awesome. So, how did you get started at Palantir?
Yeah, so I've been at Palantir for about 5 years, working.
That's a long time at Palantir.
Yes, mostly working across our supply chain and manufacturing projects. I did a little bit of healthcare there as well. And before Palantir, I actually was a software engineer in banking and actually studied computer science at the University of St. Andrews before that.
So, Palantir for Builders.
Yes.
What is it? What's your explanation?
So I think to really understand Palantir for Builders, it's important to go back and understand what Palantir's offering is in general. So Palantir works with large enterprises and organizations, and the deployment mechanism is very much our software and our people. And that's what we call forward deployed engineering. It's sort of the combination of the two to get value for our customers. And so what the Palantir for Builders program does is it allows us to work with startups through to sort of medium-sized companies, growing companies, where it is the same enterprise-grade software, but we're really sort of leaning on the talent of our customers to do the building. And so you can kind of see the Palantir for Builders program as our work with pre-Series A startups that are still trying to figure out product market fit and ultimately building their core product through to medium-sized companies. And so this could be a manufacturer in Middle America or a healthcare company, and they're sort of moving their core operations into the platform. And that's sort of what the program unlocks for them. Another way that I'm thinking about it, though, is it's also our way of pushing the perimeter of forward deployed engineering. And so the forward deployed engineer, or FDE, sort of really originated from Palantir and our culture of our original deployment mechanism or engagement model. And so seeing kind of the Builders program as a way of really authentically growing this FDE culture outside of Palantir is another thing that I've been seeing.
Very cool. So, from your experience, what are customers excited about when they start building with Palantir?
Yeah, so I think customers come to us for a variety of reasons. With startups, it's, you have to build your product, and actually it's quite daunting knowing all of the sheer infrastructure and almost integration that you need to do ahead of time. And so, or even security and compliance, if you're working in very secure environments, being able to leverage another platform and sort of actually use the security that they provide gives you that leg up as well. And so they were coming to us as this is how we're building our business. But now we're seeing customers come to us with the same problems in the enterprise space. So whether it's, kind of a medium-sized manufacturer looking to move their inventory management workflow that right now is a bunch of Excels and sheets, which, surprise, that happens at the enterprise level as well.
Yep.
But they're coming to us with that notion, but they really have this spirit of building. They know that they want to solve this problem, but they also want their engineers to be empowered to build it. And so that's also sort of what we're looking for when we're engaging with companies. It's this in-house builder spirit, and then knowing that, you can't buy these solutions necessarily off the shelf. And if you do, that's great for problem number one, but then the next problem comes along and you don't want to, they don't want to stitch together 50 different point solutions. And so that's the thing that really works for the program.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of these customers are like, man, I literally just have everything in platform. I can build as quickly as I want. And that speed of thought, I've heard that from multiple different customers I've interviewed, is the speed I'm thinking I can build, I can just do it.
Yeah.
And it's there and it's scalable.
Yes.
And I think that's the other part of this too, is that they're building on the secure, scalable platform so that when they're a 2-person startup and they grow to 20 to 100, they can continue moving forward on that platform and not think, oh, I hit a certain point, I need to re-platform and make this real.
Exactly.
No, it's real from the get-go.
You're future-proofing your business.
I heard also multiple customers talking about Marketplace and Palantir DevOps and how they can then build on OSDK. So they're able to deploy very built scalable applications that then also get customized and deployed in these white lists. So it gives them the flexibility to build what their customers need.
Yeah, the look and feel.
They can also then use the OSDK to create this custom app and look and feel and deploy and manage that all through the DevOps piece and the marketplace. So now they have true kind of change management, release management, all the way out to that white labeled solution for their customers. Yeah. And I think every single one I've talked to so far is building on OSDK in some way or another. So that was really cool to see as well.
Yeah, yeah. And, that just goes to show sort of the background of the engineers that we're seeing. It's everyone from sort of more typical like data engineers or software engineers that are either building those front ends in OSDK or doing the data engineering in the platform. But then there's also sort of these low code engineers or business analysts, builders, and that's why it's Palantir for Builders, because it's not just engineers who have maybe a computer science background like myself. It's actually through to these low code builders who are still empowered to build their end products as well. And so that's sort of the spectrum of the builders that I'm seeing. I think about Selkirk and how many Flutter developers they have, because they sort of believe in low code app building. And so a lot of their front ends are in Flutter, but then all of the back end, that like scalable back end, is coming from the platform.
Yeah, and even mobile apps from them. We got a preview of their mobile app that's coming out here. So just seeing the richness of those interfaces, and it was built by one developer.
Yes.
And that was the continual theme I was asking people about. How many people do you have working on these different solutions? One or two, and we're building end-to-end solutions in a matter of days.
Yeah.
I went to a build camp and I built out this entire solution, and then one engineer took that and made it production ready in another week or two.
Yes.
Like those were repeat stories that I hear, and I think the other theme I heard from Palantir for Builder customers is I can do more with less engineers, which gives me more runway.
Yes.
And so the fact that they don't have to go out and hire a bunch of DevOps engineers and all these other very highly paid technical skill sets, that I can go build scalable, reliable things with, like you said, people that might be working in low code building pipelines because they know the business or the problem space. Like that was also another theme I heard across. It was really cool to see like non-Palantiring people take up, which then brings me really to the question of like, how do they learn this? Like, what's the learning kind of path and program for Palantir for Builders?
Yeah, no, it's a really great question. This is something that Palantir's invested a lot in the last 2 years. And so there's everything from our self-serve training, that's learn.palantir.com, and that's where you can do the end-to-end trainings, but then also specific application training. Then there's a certification program. There's different tracks that you can take depending on what like shape of builder you are. And then our community forum, it's sort of like Stack Overflow, but very much like more community oriented.
Well, and what I love about that is like Palantir product development engineers and FDEs are on there answering questions, other community members. So it's not just like this off into the abyss, like you have the engineers building that product engaging with you on the community, which I think is super powerful.
Yeah, our product leads post in there about, why certain like products came out and sort of the origin of those products. And so you do get to peel back the layers of what's happening there. Yeah,
that's very cool. And then I know there's other things like partners like Ontologize.
Yes, yeah. So we have a huge partner network, and it's growing. So everything from Ontologize that does more like trainings and more dedicated trainings, through to our other partners that do sometimes implementation support, and that list is growing. And so we sort of publicly state who our partners are in this space.
Yeah, and then we try to make the dev YouTube channel for everybody.
Of course.
Yeah, and I think I love getting the feedback. And the other one too, I would say, is I get a lot of questions on X and LinkedIn from founders. I know the Boundless Discovery guys actually found out about Palantir and DevTier and move all the way to the Palantir for Builders program by just posting on X.
Exactly. Yes. Right. Yeah. And so developers channel on YouTube has been great for sort of doing the end-to-end how to builds or just explaining different components in the platform. And I think the other is our developer tier. So that came out last year, and it really is a way for you to get your hands on the software, because ultimately some people need to sort of see it to believe it. And then you need to know how to wield it. And so I think the two of these combined have really helped us with the understanding, which helps us get over that first hurdle.
Yeah, I think prior to the developer tier, you had a multiple kind of week or month cycle to try to get your hands on a stack and do something. And then, most people are like, no, I give up. And so I think the dev tier has been super exciting to see the excitement online, to see the growth in signups. I mean, it's been really kind of lighting on fire here. Like the number one question I get is, it's not available in my country yet. It is coming, people. It is coming.
It's coming.
We are working on it very soon here, and so more countries to come soon. But I think that just shows the excitement of like, I know there's power in the platform. I want to get my hands on it. I want to explore it. And then as people do that, that's been the reactions. I love seeing when people post their reaction on X or on LinkedIn of like, holy crap, like does anyone realize what's here?
Yeah, and that's been also the trajectory as well. Some customers, especially where they're much earlier on, really trying to figure out what their product is or if they should even build their startup. You build something in dev tier and we can allow you to really easily just like come into the Palantir for Builders program as a conversion from dev tier as well.
Yes, yeah. So that convergence, but I think also like honestly, from my perspective, I see customers or prospective customers outside of the Palantir for Builders program signing up for dev tier. So customers in Fortune 500 companies, engineers go sign up for the dev tier. They play around with it on their own time, and they're like, "Holy cow, we should talk to these guys."
Yeah.
So the multitude of benefits that dev tier has driven, and then that drives people to the community, more questions, and it's really been the snowball of like benefit that people can just get their hands on, build. I think the surprising part, people signing up for a dev tier, they're like, oh, like this is like all the tools. Like this is the whole platform. Like, yeah, this isn't just like you get one little thing over here. Like you get the platform.
Yeah, it has certain rails around like scale or like you can't really productionize and users, but for any testing or any kind of development, it has everything you need. And I would say what I've done on my dev tier, I've been able to take some of my health tech data. You can see some of it on my hand over here, and I actually built sort of a voice agent that I can speak to, and it like tells me how my sleep was the day before and things like that. And so I also tinker around in dev tier.
Yes, very cool. Yeah, I have my own dev tier doing my own projects. I think a lot of the Palantir engineers have their own personal hobby projects going on. Oh
yeah, definitely.
Very cool. So maybe like some examples of some other like Palantir for Builder customers, just to kind of give the shape of some different customers of ours.
Yeah, so we have over 150 customers in the program, and so I can give a couple of snippets, but it really is cross-industry. And so I think two examples that come to mind is one, HelmGuard AI. They're a really early startup. They started in 2024, and Jack, the CTO, I actually met with him a couple of weeks ago to really understand what they're building in the platform, and they're sort of a security and compliance startup, and so supporting large enterprises with their security reviews and compliance reviews as they come in, and trying to do the coordination of you get these different due diligence questions or compliance questions. You have your policies and your documents sort of spread in disparate systems, and they're all in natural language. And so how do you actually more easily like answer these questions? And so sounds very much like a Foundry problem, right?
I remember seeing Jack present at DevCon. I didn't realize he was an early stage startup. Because it was that impressive of a demo. That's awesome.
Yeah, and so he's using AIP Agent Studio, Automate in the back end, and some of our functions workflow as well. And then the front end is all OSDK. So they've built a customized front end, and if you are a HelmGuard customer, that's how you kind of see HelmGuard. But ultimately, all the back end workings and what's allowing them to scale and really grow at pace is because they're building in Palantir, and they were able to go to market in about 3-4 months.
Wow.
Which I think for that level of workflow, so high security environment, but then it's fairly difficult to be able to process that much information, all the special chunking, so that when the questions get asked, they are sort of automatically answered, and then processed through the relevant teams.
That's very cool. Yeah, so what other kind of shapes? So we got some early stage startups. What about maybe some midstream companies?
Yeah, so in terms of the mid-sized companies, Goodnight Midstream actually comes to mind. And so been working with Michael and Robert, our builders there. And they're sort of a midstream oil and gas company. And so they have a full network of their water pumps. And they're kind of taking tons and tons of water every hour. And trying to manage those pumps at scale, they've of course invested in sensors, as a lot of growing companies do, but actually making use of those sensors beyond having all of the graphs that just show you, what the like current vibration is, what the like water pressure is, and just making sense of all of these different lines. Ultimately, they were finding really difficult. And so yes, they had a full kind of SCADA system, but the interface on top of that starts to do streaming alerting and actually tells operators, hey, this is what you need to do, what you need to change, and when you need to do it. That coordination they were just unable to do. It was always post-mortem analysis of something went wrong, and you're sort of understanding, okay, this is what went wrong. But now they're actually doing this predictive and preventative changes in the platform. And, I had a build camp with them, and they were able to build out 2 workflows that they said would have taken them a year to do in other systems.
You bring up a thought to me, because like I don't think we do a good job of telling the story of how good streaming is in Foundry. It's like it is truly a first class system. The fact that I can use pipeline builder, low code environment to build out streams, generate alerts, like that entire kind of event driven, stream driven stuff is actually like at our core. Like when you're on the battlefield, like you have to have real time stream. So we don't think much of it, but like that is core. But it also becomes more important for not only these sensor workflows, alert workflows, but agentic workflows. You have to have the latest information, especially if you have agents taking action. You need the data to flow back in real time. And so that streaming it as a first class citizen, like I don't do a good job of always like selling that and showing that, but I think it really is something I could see for the Palantir for Builder customers, is like people in that space, man, it like accelerates the workflows just dramatically.
It really has. And Michael and Robert really took to Quiver very fast. And, that's a workflow that I've used a couple of times. It's very powerful, but I think the learning curve can be steeper. But they have really cracked it. And I think, our product team worked directly with them to kind of do our time series alerting, which takes the work that you did in Quiver, your analysis, and turns it into an alert. And so you go from ad hoc analysis to preventative action in one button. And that was something that was perfected through our work with Goodnight Midstream, who are a Palantir for Builders customer.
Okay, well, I just learned something. I didn't know we could do that now. That's awesome. Quiver's kind of the dark horse. Like it is an awesome, super powerful tool. It is very technical, but I didn't know you could generate alerts out of that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and then Automate kicks that off so that if that condition happens, any downstream action or anything you need to do gets automatically generated from that.
So you could have time series flowing in, generate an alert that triggers an automate function that calls an LLM to determine like what I should do about it.
Exactly.
Holy cow. Okay. Well, I learned something. That's cool. Very cool. So what skill sets do you see people needing or coming in with, and kind of what do the team structures look like in these different companies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really often get asked around, do I need an army to deploy Palantir, or what type of engineers do I need? And I think really the advice that I give is very similar to how we structure our teams internally. So you sort of have one more data engineering style profile where, you can do a lot in the platform with low code tools. But if you have someone who has more of a computer science background or is like flexible with code, they can have more reach within the platform. And then I think that person paired with more of a business analyst or low code user who really understands what the business needs, like what's the value that you're driving in the use case. I think the two working in tandem works like really well, because that's how we built the product with our team structured that way. And I've seen our customers adopt that as well and have great success building use cases in, a number of weeks.
Yeah. The Echo Delta pair, whether you're inside or outside, still seems to be the magic.
Yes, and both are FDEs. After long debate, I think we can definitely say that they both are. And then, going back to other ways that people learn, we've also got our events. And so everything from DevCon, where we just had DevCon 2, but we have build camps that we host in our offices at our customers. And they're really hands-on hackathon style events where you have a goal of what you want to build, and Palantir engineers sort of help you get there. And you can really learn through osmosis that way. And so sitting, embedding with our product development team, but also some of our forward deployed engineers. And I think through osmosis, we're kind of seeing this builder spirit being built as well.
That was a continual theme I heard, which was just awesome to see how much these build camps like jumpstart that building in Palantir, understanding the different primitives and dynamics and how things work, all just in a few days.
Yeah, no. And I have my own personal sort of philosophy around building. And it's sort of, if you want to learn a language, you don't sort of, study it without practicing it. And I think learning the platform is a little bit like learning a new language. You really just have to get started. And it's about building that first solution. Maybe it takes you a little while, but then you're putting stuff together and still trying to figure out what the platform is. But then once you've done that first use case and you can iterate on it over and over, that's the thing that then gets that improvement, because the next use case you can reuse a lot of the components from the first use case, and you sort of see this building over time and improvement over time. And so the best way to learn Palantir is to build on Palantir.
So you've been accomplishing a lot in the last year and a half. Like, what are your goals in future for the next year?
It's honestly growth. So as I mentioned, we have about 150 customers at the moment. I'm seeing that sort of explode in the next year. And I really want to see us in more industries, more spaces, behind different products that are coming out, but also these different medium-sized companies as well. And really seeing, this perimeter that I've been talking about push to the very edge, because I think that our customers are going to be what pushes our product as well. And so I think we're going to see a lot more product innovation that comes from the challenges that we see in the Palantir for Builders program. I think a lot of these challenges that we're seeing in the enterprise have worked and are covered across the whole market. But once we really get into every space and every industry, I think it's going to stretch our product and ultimately lead to a lot of growth. And so I want to see the Palantir for Builders program being bigger in a year, but definitely I want to see the impact that it's had on our product and ultimately just building this developer culture that I mentioned. So, seeing more and more engineers building in the platform, more and more engineers sort of knowing Palantir and knowing how to wield the software. I think that's been the whole goal.
And I think that's like something that I try to like hit on a lot of times on posts around, like, why do we call it builders instead of developers or these things? And really is because anybody can build.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the cool part about the tools. You can have a person that is very proficient at code, building the low code tools because it's faster, it's easier. And when they need the pro code option, they can exit for this component or that component, and it allows them to move very, very quickly. And I think just that attitude of we can all be builders is really what the core of Palantir for Builders is.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's really well put. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming all the way to Arkansas, testing out our new studio here,
course.
and appreciate you taking the time to come.
Yeah. No, thank you very much.
Thanks.